All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to dive in.
Well, today we are looking at the world of global markets.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're going to be looking specifically at February 18th, 2025,
Okay.
and using the My Pensions Advisor's global market update to really get into it.
Excellent source.
Yeah, and one of the things that's so interesting about this is,
Yeah.
we are getting this information kind of as it happened across different time zones.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it's
Very cool.
really a cool real-time glimpse into how interconnected everything is.
Yeah, definitely. The world is getting smaller all the time.
And the big news for this deep dive, geopolitical tensions seem to be easing.
That's great news.
Yeah, and markets are responding pretty positively.
As you might expect.
Yeah, so let's get started.
Okay.
So first off, let's look at the Asian markets.
All right.
The report tells us that Asian markets were mostly higher on Tuesday, following positive cues from Europe.
So it seems like they're kind of riding the wave of good feelings that started in Europe.
Exactly. And what's interesting is, there were no cues for Wall Street because of President's Day.
Oh, right.
It was a holiday in the U.S.
So that's kind of interesting, a U.S. holiday impacting the global markets.
Yeah, it really shows how everything's connected.
Definitely. And that's why it's so important to stay informed about what's happening globally,
So true.
not just in your own backyard.
Exactly. So can you talk a little bit about what easing geopolitical tensions actually mean for the average person?
Well, when we talk about easing geopolitical tensions, what we're really saying is that the fears that were keeping investors up at night, things like potential trade wars or escalating conflicts, they seem to be fading.
Oh, okay. So basically less things to worry about.
Exactly. Less uncertainty, more stability,
Makes sense.
and that translates into more confidence in the markets.
So less doom scrolling, more buying stocks.
You got it.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
Me too.
All right. So moving on from Asia, let's head over to the UK. Their markets also closed higher on Monday.
Interesting.
And specifically, aerospace and defense banking and financial services were doing really well.
Why those sectors, do you think?
That's what I was wondering. What's driving that growth in those specific areas?
Well, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense when investors are feeling more optimistic about the future, less worried about conflict or economic turmoil. These are the sectors that tend to benefit. Aerospace and defense obviously benefits from stability, as does banking.
Right.
And financial services, they tend to thrive when businesses are confident and investing.
So basically a good sign for the overall company.
You could say that.
So would you say that investors are, what's the word?
Bullish.
Yes, bullish on the future.
Exactly.
I had to look that one up this morning, I'll be honest.
It's a good one to know.
It is for anyone else who hasn't spent their morning with a finance glossary.
Right.
It basically means investors are feeling optimistic, expecting things to go up.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered Asia and Europe.
Yep.
But there's one big player missing from this update.
Let me guess, the U.S.
You got it. They were off celebrating President's Day on Monday.
Right. I forgot about that.
Who knew a national holiday could have such a global impact, right?
Well, it just goes to show how interconnected everything is.
Yeah, so the big question is what happens when the U.S. wakes up from its holiday nap?
Will they join the party?
Exactly. Will they follow the global trend or will they, kind of do their own thing?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is, and this is where things get really interesting for our listeners.
Absolutely.
If you're an investor, and even if you're not, this is a great example of how what's happening on the other side of the world can directly impact your portfolio.
Yeah, it's easy to think of the markets as this abstract thing, but
Right.
they're really a reflection of real-world events.
And decisions.
Exactly.
Okay, so just to recap, what have we learned today?
Well, it seems like easing geopolitical tensions are fueling a wave of optimism globally,
Right.
pushing Asian and European markets upward.
And the U.S.
The U.S. is the wild card. We'll have to see how they react when they're back online.
Right, and their reaction will be a good indicator of whether this positive trend is going to stick around or if it's just a temporary blip.
Exactly. So keep an eye on the U.S. markets when they open tomorrow.
Good advice. And that's what keeps things so exciting, right?
Definitely.
The global market is like a constantly evolving puzzle.
It's true.
What might happen tomorrow to shift the pieces? What events could change things up?
Lots of possibilities.
Lots of possibilities. Those are some questions to ponder as you go about your day.
Definitely stay curious.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
All right, take care, everyone.
Bye.